Hello and welcome to Two Tiers Deep, the Women's Cricket Weekly Show, with me, Rosa Simpkin.
And me, Chloe Hill.
I'm the journalist working in all the tiers of women's cricket.
And I'm the cricketer currently playing in the game.
We saw a gap in the market, mainly from a Tier 2 coverage perspective, so we thought, why not start a podcast? To start with, we probably should explain something to you, which otherwise, none of this will make any sense. Last year, the ECB announced Project Darwin, a project to hand the game back to the 18 counties, split into 3 tiers. Tier 1 is the professional level, consisting of the Blaze, Durham, Essex, Lancashire, Hampshire, Somerset, Surrey, and Warwickshire. I could go into the depths about why the Blaze aren't Notts, but we'll leave that for another time.
And Tier 2 counties are made up of Derbyshire, Glamorgan, Gloucestershire, Kent, Leicestershire, Middlesex, Northamptonshire, Sussex, Worcestershire, and Yorkshire.
And then Tier 3 are the national counties. To start with, we'll be guiding you through all the action from the week of cricket on a game-by-game basis, looking at star performers and the results for all the Tier 2 sides. Following that, we'll have a look at the table to see how things stand. Following the review, it's time for a discussion, starting with a look at the loan system and the current debate surrounding it, followed by exploring the England A ODI series against New Zealand and looking at any star performers who could soon be in England colours, as well as some of the selection dilemmas that face Charlotte Edwards following the first 2 T20 internationals against India. To round things off, we'll be naming our Tier 2 teams of the week.
Now, firstly, onto the North Group. The first game saw Yorkshire v Worcestershire. Worcestershire batted first and scored 104 for 8 off their 20 overs, which in return, Yorkshire chased this down with 5 overs to spare and only losing 3 wickets. The standout performances so far from that game were Claire Boycott at the start with 35 runs for Worcestershire, and then late contributions from the lower order from Olivia Gough, scoring 28 not out. The standout performers from Yorkshire were Rachel Slater, Claudia Cooper, and Ria Thacker with 2 wickets apiece. And then if we flip it over to the Yorkshire's innings, Lauren Winfield-Hill got off to an extremely quick start, scoring a quick-fire 35. And then in came Maddie Ward and Amy Campbell, who finished the innings and chased the total respectively, with 22 not out and 15 not out. The star for Worcestershire with the ball was Flora Birtwistle with her 4 overs, with one for 14. Now on to Leicestershire v Northants, which I know later on Rosa was there, so she will continue to chat a little bit more about. But Leicestershire scored 158 for 6, and Northants in their return were 85 all out. For Leicestershire, Francesca Sweet, Scarlett Hughes, Ellen Watson and Flora Davis were the standout with the bats, scoring 35, 29, 20 and a quick-fire 30 not out for Flora Davis. In return, Amelia Kemp, 2 for 19 off her 4 overs, was the standout with the ball for Northants. And again, Amelia Kemp's name was the standout with the bat, scoring 23 in Northants' chase of 85 all out to 156. And again, on return for Leicestershire was Lucy Hyam on debut, even though she grew up with Leicestershire Pathway, with 3 for 17 off her 4 overs, and April Harafki of 3 for 11 off her 2.3 overs. The next Tier 2 match was Derby v Worcestershire. Worcestershire set the tone really, really high with a high scoring 187 for 6 off their 20 overs. And in return, Derby 158 all out. Some standout performances for Worcestershire was Ruby Davis with 69 off 46 balls with 10 fours, a quick fire 40 from Bryony Gilgrass of 29 balls, and a really, really quick fire 28 from Sophie Beach of 19 balls. This led Worcestershire to a high scoring T20 total. In return for Derby, the only standout bowlers were Maria Andrews with figures of 2 for 35 and Rhiannon Nolan-Davis figures of 2 for 45 off her 4 overs. In return to their chase, Derby got off to an extremely quick start with the opening batters of Jessica Cusa and Laura Shaw putting on a partnership of 91, which left Worcestershire a bit on edge trying to get that early wicket. In return for Worcestershire, there was exceptional bowling figures. A standout again for Flora Birtwistle with 3 for 32. But it was Bryony Gilgrass-Stay who walked away with 5 for 19 off her 4 overs, which 40 runs and a 5 for in a T20. I think that's player of the match all day long. And finally, in the North Group, we saw Northants v Yorkshire. Northants posted a really competitive total of 150 for 9 off their 20 overs, and they took it all the way to the 18th over for Yorkshire to chase the total 5 down. Amelia Kemp, again, who we mentioned in her last game, is another standout performer with a quickfire 30 at the top, Michaela Kirk contributing with 35, and Alicia Preslin with 22. Again, Rachel Slater and Rhea Fackrell were the standouts with the ball, with Rachel Slater 3 for 35 and Rhea Fackrell having a phenomenal day out with 4 for 17. Once again, Lauren Winfield Hill showed her pure class with a quickfire 32 off 16 balls. Maddie Ward's name keeps popping up, and I'm sure we'll discuss her again later on in the pod, with 34 off 30 balls. Contributions from Rebecca Duckworth and Olivia Thomas got Yorkshire over the line in the 18th over. Ella Phillips for Northants had an exceptional day. Again, another forfeit in the same match, 4 for 34. Just going to pass over to Rosa now, who was there at the Leicestershire v Northants match.
I was at Leicestershire on behalf of her Game 2 for one of their dedicated fixtures, and it was quite the day of cricket for the Foxes. The surface was nothing to be desired. It was used for the county championship game in the week, and it had had a beating. The wind also had a lot to say, and it was definitely an important toss to win for Becky Brooker. The standout for me was Flora Davies, also a member of the Blaze Academy, with 30 not out from 23, helping to really reinforce an already successful batting innings. We also obviously, as Chloe did, have to shout out Lucy Hyam, on loan from the Blaze and returning from a nasty injury. I was also impressed with Ellie Phillips, young pace bowler, who took 1 for 8 from 2 and arguably should have had more overs. I don't think I've seen a Tier 2 cricketer swing it more than Ellie Phillips did during that game, especially on a very spin-friendly wicket. I also need to give a shout out to Becky Brooker, whose captaincy was something else. Her rotation of bowlers and not allowing Northants to settle, 8 used in the game, showed her experience not only for Leicestershire, but also the experience she's very quickly gathered in the Tier 2 game this year.
And this concludes the North Group in the Vitality Blast after the 5 rounds. Yorkshire sitting comfortably at the top and who have already qualified for finals day, playing 5, 1-5, and they sit comfortably on 24 points already with 3 matches in hand. Leicestershire, Northants and Derby, they are all in a fighting position. Leicestershire 2nd, Northamptonshire 3rd and Derbyshire 4th, with Leicestershire on 9 points and Derby Northants both on 8 points apiece. Worcestershire sadly sit bottom of the table, playing 5, 1-1 and lost 4, sitting on 4 points. But there is still all to play for going into the last 3 games of this Vitality North Group, which hopefully will set up an exciting finals day. Now over to the South Group.
In the South Group, it's still all to play for. We started with Kent versus Gloucestershire, with a Gloucestershire win, their first of the competition. After winning the toss at the Spitfire ground, Kent's main stadia, Gloucestershire got off to a positive start. B. Willis at the top of the order scored 34 from 38, reinforced by Profana Reddy in a big partnership with 44 from 40. This was crucial in the game situation, with ducks for Kent and Geach at 2 and 4, and just the 1 for Story at 3, with Willis and Reddy successfully managing a concerning collapse. Ahern also contributed with crucial 16 not out at the back end of the innings. You do have to ask a question, though, that Gloucestershire were 9 wickets down at the conclusion of their innings, but only 3 batters in their squad reached a total above 3 runs. Bowling-wise, that means some impressive performances. There were wickets for all of Kent's bowlers, with Bilal and Gorman both grabbing 2 bowling 3 overs, and Amy Gordon with a phenomenal economy, with 1 for 8 from 4 overs. Gloucestershire ended their innings on 123 for 9. In response, Kent only managed 91 before being bowled out, meaning Gloucestershire scored a 32-run victory. The top scorer for Kent was Isabel Kirby, at 7 with 14 from 19. Openers Gordon and Sturge managed 11 and 12 respectively. The wickets came for skipper Liv Daniels with 3 for 13 from 3 with 4.33 economy, and Caitlin Boucher with 2 for 8 from 2.5. Willis, Bird and Bat got 1 each. I think it's safe to say that Kent have struggled this tournament and arguably have underperformed after inheriting vast numbers of Surrey's 2024 squad. The second game in the South Group was Glamorgan versus Sussex. After winning the toss, Glamorgan elected to bat first, and they also hosted Bethan Ellis on loan from Warwickshire and Daisy Mulan on loan from Lancashire. And Sussex hosted Nancy Harmon from Hampshire and Rachel King from Surrey. Ellis managed 15 from 18 opening at the top of the order, but the stars of the show were Daisy Mulan with 63 not out from 65 balls and Bethan Gammon with 32 from 20, with an 160 strike rate. Poppy Tulloch also contributed at the back end with 18 not out from 12. Glamorgan ended on 145 for 5 from their 20 overs. In response, Eve O'Neill was the pick of the bowlers, with 2 for 27 from 4. Buckle was also effective with 1 for 11, but only bowled 2. Sussex created a really positive foundation. Izzy Collis and Rachel King at the top of the order scored 23 and 35 respectively, but no other batters reached double figures for the side until Anna Buckle at 11, with 11 not out from 12. Sussex only managed 115 for 8, giving Glamorgan a 30-run victory. Bethan Ellis struggled with the ball, conceding 21 runs from 1 over before being taken out of the chase. There was no other economy above 6 in the side, but it is also important to note that it was her first game back in a while. For Glamorgan, Nicole Reid took 3 for 12 from 4 overs with a 3 economy and was also backed up by Sarah Phillips, taking 2 for 21 from 4. The final game in the South Group this week was Gloucestershire versus Glamorgan, with Glamorgan taking the victory. After winning the toss, Gloucestershire elected to bat first on home turf at the Seat Unique, Bristol. There were more loans for both sides. Gloucestershire had Amusa and Kumar from Warwickshire, and Glamorgan had Bethan Ellis, also from Warwickshire. Both sides' opening partnership also had loan players. For Gloucestershire, Daisy Feast, and Glamorgan, Emily Burke, both from Surrey. Gloucestershire managed just 114 for 8 from their 20 overs, with a collective 3 runs from their top 3. Reddy was impressive again, with 39 from 51, and Emily Geach managed 29 from 33, top scorers at 5 and 6. Amusa and Kumar also contributed, with 13 from 13 at 4. Nicole Reid was impressive again for Glamorgan, with 1 for 17 from 4, and Poppy Tulloch also comes up with 3 for 22 from 3. In their chase, Parfitt and Burke provided Glamorgan a positive foundation opening. Parfitt managed 23 from 15, whilst Burke managed 14 from 15. Bethan Ellis contributed at 4 with 25 from 33, and Charlotte Scarborough with 21 out from 24 at 5 was crucial. Gemma Porter also helped with the winning runs, with 8 not out from 7. Bird and Daniels took only Gloucestershire wickets, with 2 each. Surin Kumar was not in the wickets, but was economical, at 3.6, but only bowled 2.3 overs. Glamorgan chased down the total halfway through the 17th over to win buckets, ending on 115 for 4. Now looking at the South Group's table, Glamorgan and Middlesex are all square at the top, both on 17 points apiece. With the top 2 qualifying, you'd like to think they can stay up there, but Sussex are still in with a chance, with 9 points, winning 2 of their 5 games. Gloucestershire and Kent have a lot of heavy lifting to do. Gloucestershire have only managed 1 win from 5, with 5 points, and Kent 1 win from 4, with 4 points.
Our next conversation on Two Tiers Team is to talk about the loan system in place that we're seeing across all tiers at the moment. A big one that sparked quite a big debate this weekend that I was actually a part of was Yorkshire against Worcestershire, where Yorkshire saw the return of Lauren Winfield Hill from Essex on loan in Tier 1 and Stair Callis back from on loan with Warwickshire back to Yorkshire for the weekend. Certainly saw quite a big debate on that on social media, and I'm sure you've got some points to add, Rosa. So I'll hand that little debate over to you to start with, and then I will add my points as well.
It's a really difficult balance because obviously Yorkshire are in quite a unique position where they are becoming professional next year rather than Glamorgan, who are coming professional 2 years later. So you can understand the need, given most county cricketers have signed 2-year contracts, to get some proper experience in your squad. And I'm going to be honest, on a lot of levels, I respect the fact that they have a pretty much professional squad, even though they're not playing professional cricket, because that is completely down to the club because they're not receiving any CB funding, which I'm pretty sure the other counties still are. But the loan thing, I mean, you can see it both ways. I've had people say to me, players from Tier 1 say to me that it's unfair because Callis is getting to play double the amount of cricket as everyone else because she's quite consistently been returning to Yorkshire. But then I've also seen Tier 1 players say, well, they're two of our best products, so why would we not want them playing Tier 1 cricket and then reinforcing Tier 2 cricket when they got the opportunity to? And in the meantime, Yorkshire get the opportunity to develop some of their academy talent, which otherwise wouldn't have got the opportunity. I mean, look at Maddie Ward as an example. Captaining, wicket-keeping. Do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I mean, I obviously saw all the debates on social media, and I think for me personally, I think I'm actually for the girls going off and playing as much cricket as they can. We all know what talent Lauren Winfield Hill and Stair Callis both are. I guess the other argument that I guess people aren't seeing is the amount of academy loan players from the other end of the spectrum. So, for example, all the Tier 1s have got academies, and those girls aren't able to play in their first team in Tier 1. So they're knocking on the doors in all the Tier 2 sides and playing. So I do think quite a lot of teams are made up of actually loan players and not homegrown county players within Tier 1, Tier 2. I personally think Lauren Winfield Hill and Stair Callis coming back into Tier 2 after playing in Tier 1 just potentially shows the gap and where it is at and where Tier 2 needs to get to. Because obviously, for me, playing previous years in the regional game at the top level to then playing Tier 2 this season, you certainly do see a big difference. And I think those two players show that. So I think it's only ever going to make Tier 2 stronger and better. So for me personally, I'm all for it.
I mean, that's the thing, isn't it? Because we always say that to be the best, you've got to play the best. And that's kind of the concept that a lot have argued for the positive nature of the 100, because you've literally got the best in the country playing the best not only in the country, but globally. And Tier 2 cricket is improving weekly. I mean, I'm going to put that out there first. I mean, the more the players play together, the more access you guys get to proper resources, proper training. You can see it's getting better. But having players on loan from Tier 1 helps to improve that standard. Players like Michaela Kirk, Lucy Hyam, as an example, Bethan Ellis, Amisha Nkrumah, who are all very talented cricketers. And we saw Kirk, I think, scored a century in her first game in Tier 2. And a lot of people were then complaining about the fact she's taking part in Tier 2 because, well, she's clearly too good. But that's not the view that people should be taking on it. The view should be that the more these bowlers bowl at players like Kirk, like Bethan Ellis, it's just going to improve them for the better.
Yeah, 100% agree. And obviously experiencing that Worcestershire with Amy Wheeler and Hannah Hardwick, two young seamers into the game. And unfortunately, they're not playing week in, week out for their Tier 1 counties respectively. But if they can have the opportunity to come and make an impact in Tier 2 and still learn about their cricket and grow, and we see that exactly like you said with Michaela Kirk. She's not a week in, week out player for the Blaze, but she's going to Northants and she's proven a point, and she's given the Blaze a bit of food for thought whether she should be in that Tier 1 side week in, week out. So I think it's a really good position to be in personally, and I hope that we do maybe see a little bit more crossover between Tier 1 and Tier 2 going forward.
I also think the Winfield Hill and Callis thing, which has obviously been the main area of debate, is I've seen a lot of Yorkshire fans complaining that it means they aren't committed to Yorkshire. And I think the fact that these two players who could have easily probably got Tier 1 contracts with any team in Tier 1 have gone out of their way to sign for Yorkshire. I think Winfield Hill has signed a 4-year contract or something ridiculous. Shows they're committed. And the fact that they're coming back when they're meant to be having a break shows they're committed. There's no need for these players to be playing both. They could have just gone, oh, we're just going to play Tier 1 this year. We're not going to worry about Tier 2. But they haven't. I think that's the big thing for me. They clearly are committed to Yorkshire, and signing for them in the first place shows that. Up next in 2 Tiers Deep, we're exploring the England A versus New Zealand A series, which England won successfully 3-0. In the first ODI in Derby, England won by 6 runs. After scoring 297 for 4, New Zealand only managed 291 for 9 in the chase. In the second ODI, also in Derby, England won by a nail-biting 2 runs. England scored 286 for 8 from their 50 overs, with New Zealand managing 284 before being bowled out. In the final ODI in Chelmsford, England won by 6 wickets, with New Zealand batting first for the first time. New Zealand only managed 129 for 10, being bowled out in the 28th over, with England chasing down the total in the 26th over, ending on 130 for 4 for a 6-wicket victory.
Now, over to some standout performers from that England A series. For me, there was 5 batters that stood out and performed exceptionally well, and it was the same sort of 5 batting names that I saw each match. I'll name the names and then potentially talk about the scores. So Grace Scrivens, Jodie Grewcock, Freya Kemp, Karis Pavley and Seren Smale. Now for me, obviously, Grace Scrivens had one exceptional game of scoring 84. Can't remember what it was off, but set the platform really, really well at the top of the order. Jodie Grewcock for me in game 1, 67, game 2, 63, and again with the ball in game 1 and game 2, 2 for 42 and 1 for 25. So for me at the moment, she is a very, very good all-round package coming through the system. Freya Kemp, obviously in and out of that England side, we know she's an England central contract. 57 in game 1, 58 in game 2, and obviously didn't get the runs she wanted in game 3, but there wasn't really the runs for her to go out there and get with the England bowling them out for a low total. A name for me who I'm so proud of, obviously growing up and seeing her through the pathway, is Karis Pavley. 29 in the first game, like quite a quick fire 29. In the second game, 74. And we've just seen her with the ball grow with her confidence within Tier 1 at Warwickshire and with this England A series. So it's been so great to see. Now, one name with the ball that I was so excited and glad she got the call up was Phoebe Turner from Durham. And I think just seeing how she performed last year in the regional game, even the last 2 years in the regional system, she's sort of an underdog in women's cricket and probably a name that no one speaks about enough. I think last year in the Rachel Hale Flint Trophy, was she leading wicket taker for a period, or potentially I can't remember, might have to check that stat, but leading wicket taker towards the end of the season. But in game 1, 3 for 67, game 2, 2 for 55. So picking up wickets respectively throughout the game. I don't know if there's anyone else you want to add in, but if I move on to the last game, obviously we saw Mahika Gore come back in and take a magic Meeks Pfeiffer. That we're also happy to see her back in the system. And also Tilly Courtine Coleman, the young left-hand spinner from Surrey, picking up 3 for 30.
It feels like a really exciting time for English cricket. And the one thing I'm going to really take my hats off to Charlotte Edwards for since she's come in as coach is, as a whole, she's selecting players based on merit. And we saw that with the MR lot call-up. We saw that with the Izzy Wong coming back into the fold. It's very refreshing because although that's how it should be, it just has not been in recent years. And England A series are too often dominated by too many centrally contracted players, when in reality that's not the purpose for them, because we know that your Maya Bouchiers can score runs, But players like Freya Kemp and Mahika Gore have obviously really struggled with injury, so them coming into those series is logical. Is there anyone from these series that you think deserves an England call up?
I mean, if we look at two all-round packages, you've got obviously Jodie Grucott and Gareth Pavley both offering spin left and right arm. Obviously, you've got leg spin for Jodie Grucott, left arm orthodox for Gareth Pavley, and they can both bat. Obviously, they both go about their batting differently, but Jodie Grucott being a left-handed batter at the top of the order and also offering something with the ball, I think that's so exciting to see. And I think looking at this T20 series at the moment against India, we haven't got a leg spin option because Sarah Glenn hasn't been selected for this series. Now, obviously, that sparked a few debates across English cricket, I guess, but she's gone back to the Blaze and she's performing well and doing what she does best. So I think that's what you can ask for. And again, I guess it proves Charlotte Edwards is out there and picking players on merit and who are doing well and who deserves it. I guess your next question, which could be that wicket-keeping debate, who is it going to be? Obviously, we've seen Sarah and Smell in this series not keeping wicket. They've had Rihanna Southey in. So are they going down back the option of focusing on Sarah and Smell as a batter? Or are they looking at Rihanna Southey with her batting improving again because she has scored some runs for Hampshire so far this season? So I think that will be an exciting debate to see maybe later down the line this summer. Obviously, Freya Kemp is a England contracted player, so we expect to see her in and out of that side. But obviously, she's had a few back injuries, so obviously this is sort of nurturing her back into her English cricketing career, I guess.
I think the best thing England could do with Freya Kemp is just to leave her be. Let her play in the 100, let her play county cricket. There's not a world where she should be going to this World Cup this year. Just let her gently come back into the game, because if there's one thing that kind of was a highlight or low light, you could say, from John Lewis's tenure as head coach, was the management of the young pace bowlers. And that's something that obviously Charlotte Edwards is going to have much more experience in because she has experience in women's cricket. But it's how they make sure that Freya comes back in a way that is safe from an injury perspective, but also just from a mental load perspective. It's funny you mentioned Gareth Pavley because I'm lucky enough to have kind of seen her journey evolve, because I remember met her years ago and she ended up coaching me at club for a period back in the day. And I remember when she told me she'd been selected for the Under-19 World Cup, and she was like, I don't really know why. And I was like, well, you are one of the up-and-coming talents of women's cricket. And now 2 years later, she's made her England debut. She smashed it in the 100, and she's a consistent starter for Warwickshire. So it's been quite the trajectory. I think the leg spin debate is also interesting. I couldn't tell you why, but for some reason it's very clear that Sarah Glenn is not Charlotte Edwards' favourite player. And Charlotte ended up doing some commentary on a Hampshire game on Sky, and she was asked about the main area of recruitment. She said leg spin. And that's a bit of a problem because there's not many leg spinners in women's cricket who are really performing right now. I mean, when you look at the circuit, it's probably the biggest grey area because Hannah Baker was the obvious second choice for a very long time, and she's had an all right season by all means, but she's not performed to the level that probably she'd want to. She bowled well in the third game. She took 3 for 69 from 10, but not as economical as she tends to be, and I think that's her issue. I think if she was more economical, she'd be in that squad. And Charlotte Edwards clearly likes economical players because she's also improved her batting, Hannah Baker. I think that was the other grey area. She seems to have developed a habit of coming in and scoring a 4 off her first ball, which has just blown my mind because I remember when she could only just hit it back in the day at the Central Sparks. So it's definitely a very exciting time.
Yeah, obviously, I guess going forward for the remainder of this England series against India, it'd be interesting certainly to see what changes for the last T20 matches we'll see going forward now after losing the first two, and if any of the players who played in this England A series will come in. So, yeah, that'll be interesting to see, and maybe something next to talk about on the next podcast.
Definitely will be, because we haven't had an ODI squad announcement yet, which is very unusual for England because they tend to announce both at once. We've got 3 more T20s in a 5-match series. It could be brutal if it carries on as it is. It's one of the issues of 5-match series. I mean, arguably there has to be changes in the next T20 because you same 11 2 games in a row and you've been beaten comfortably in both. And I think Charlotte Edwards will probably recognise that. I can understand why she didn't want to change things up for the game yesterday. Because while you want to make sure it's not a fluke. Because I think India probably overperformed in that first T20. It was incredible to watch. But it definitely has raised some selection dilemmas.
Yeah, definitely, and I think Heather Knight made a great point after the match in her post-match debrief on comms. I think she was asked the question of what team selection changes she would make, and I think she made a big point about Charlie Dean should be in there, and I completely agree. Obviously, playing with her at the Southern Vipers, she is one of the most economical off-spin bowlers and such a great athlete in the field to have in your team, and her batting we've seen come on leaps and bounds. So for me, I think she definitely deserves that opportunity in that side, and then I guess a few conversations of debate whether around the top order with the bats and potentially maybe your middle order with the bat as well. So we'll see. It'll be interesting.
I mean, I'm not a Charlotte Edwards by any means or any stretch of the imagination. But if I was, I think you completely switch it up. I mean, Danny White-Hodge is an example. Don't get me wrong, she's a phenomenal cricketer, and she's clearly a phenomenal cricketer because she is smashing it in the Blast, top run scorer. But I think there comes a point when continuing to play players when they're not performing just does more harm than good. So for some reason, right now, it's not clicking in an England shirt, so don't force it. We saw what happened when John Lewis kept putting Sophia Dunkley in when she wasn't performing, and then Sophia Dunkley came away, spent some genuine time for her county, came back refreshed. And Tammy Beaumont, move her up. So if I'm Charlotte Edwards, if I'm the coach, I'm dropping Danny White-Hodge. I'm dropping Lindsay Smith. And probably give Amarlot a rest. Bring in all 3 of the bench. Bring in Schofield, Dean and Wong. Move Beaumont up to open. Move Capsey up to 4 because she's batting too low. Have Schofield in at 6, playing kind of the Heather Knight rescuer role. And then if you bring Wong in as well, you've got Dean. You're helping your batting order because it lengthens the bat because the tail at the moment is ridiculous. That's my revolutionary idea.
Yeah, I don't think you're far wrong really with that suggestion, and obviously we saw Sophie Atkinson's gutsy inning with the bat yesterday. I think that just also shows what a talent she's got with the bat and what she's capable of doing, and sort of when I was watching that, when we saw Emma Arlott and Sophie Atkinson out in the middle, I was like, those 2 players can hit big sixes. Those 2 players can change a game if they're out there. Now, Emma Arlott and Izzy Wong, they both can hit big sixes. They both can bowl quick. So yeah, that could be an option again to give Emma Arlott a rest. But I also don't think she's done much wrong in an England shirt. I guess Capsey may spark a few debates of, yeah, like you say, she's batting too low, but also could we switch her out for a Schofield to come in that position? But yeah, certainly Charlie Dean, Schofield and Wong, let's get them in, let's have a go, and let's rotate the team and see where our best 11 is, especially ready for the World Cup pending not too far away either. Now for the fun part of the week, here we go. This is my tier 2 team of the week. So I'm going to list it out in batting order. I'm going to name the player and I'm going to name the county. Are we ready? So opening the batting, I've got Jess Cusa from Derby with Francesca Sweets from Leicestershire. Coming in at number 3, I've got Daisy Mullen from Glamorgan. In at number 4, Ruby Davis from Worcestershire. In at number 5, Bryony Gilgrass from Worcestershire. In at number 6, Amelia Kemp from Northants. And then I've gone my keeper and my captain as Maddie Ward at number 7. At number 8, Caitlin Belcher from Gloucestershire. Coming at number 9, Liv Daniels from Gloucestershire. Number 10, Rhea Fackrell from Yorkshire. 11, Rachel Slater from Yorkshire. And then my 12th of the week is Rachel King from Sussex as a backup wicketkeeper and top order batter if needed. So with this team, my sort of breakdown, I've tried to get a balance for potentially 3 spinners, 3 seamers, but 2 of them cover with all-rounders. So Amelia Kemp coming in at number 6, she is a opening batter if need be. She can be so flexible in the batting order. She can open the bowling. She can come in first change. Obviously, Bryony Gilgrass can score runs, and also we saw her take that 5-throw against Derbyshire. Rhea Fackrell, I've got her in coming at number 10, but I full well know that she can hit a boundary when needed. And Francesca Sweets opened the batting from Leicestershire. We've seen her take the new ball or come in first and second change with the bowling seam as well. So, yeah, I think hopefully I've got an equal balance there, and hopefully your tier 2 team of the week is not too far different, or if there's any names that I've missed out, yeah, it'd be good to hear.
Talk to me about Francesca Sweet. What impressed you about her?
Just obviously when Worcestershire played Leicestershire a few weeks ago, her explosive 60 at the top order. Also bowling seam as well, but just seeing that she's continued to score 20s and 30s at the top order, and I know that she's capable of the ball in hand, so it's just finding that balance of not wasting a batter who's just going to stand in the field and not bowl. So she's given me both options. Yeah.
I mean, you've thought about the bowling balance more than I have. I've got a lot of spinners, and I'm not even sorry about it because spin to win. Okay. Opening, I've got Amelia Kemp from Northants, alongside Jessica Cusa from Derbyshire. Then I've put Bryony Gilgrass at 3. She's also my captain. I think to score 40 and take a 5-for in a game, she deserves it. Then I've got Prafana Reddy from Gloucestershire at 4. Ruby Davis from Worcestershire at 5. Amy Gordon from Kent at 6, and I'll explain that in a moment. Then I've got Maddie Ward at 7 as my keeper from Yorkshire. I've got Lucy Hyam at 8 from Leicestershire. Rhea Fackrell at 9 from Yorkshire. Liv Daniels at 10 from Gloucestershire. Nicole Reid at 11 from Glamorgan. And then my 12th is Rachel Slater from Yorkshire.
Do you know what? We've named quite a few similar players, just maybe the odd 2 or 3 that don't get in your team or don't get in my team, but I like it.
I think Amy Gordon was probably my biggest curveball because she wasn't necessarily across the 2 games she played a standout. But I feel like taking 1 for 8 from 4 overs in a T20, I had to mention her. She's also, and she won't be very happy about this, she's batting at 6 because she isn't in here for her batting. She's definitely a top order, but you can swap her with Amelia Kemp if you'd really like to.
Yeah, I think that's a bit like my top off from 1 to 6, even having Maddie Ward coming at 7, my 1 to 6, any of those players could open the batting. But also, like, you could put Francesca Sweets and Amelia Kemp, switch them at number 2 and number 6. They both do the same role for me. Like, both of them could take the new ball and both of them could open the batting. Oh God, I'd love to see these 2 teams play against each other.
I know, right? We'd have to clone some of the players, but we can work that out.
Do you know what? Good balance of tier 2 counties there.
It is. I think I've got everyone apart from Sussex who played.
Yeah, I think I'm missing Kent, I think. Who played.
I also think we need to talk about Maddie Ward because she is having a season of the ages. She started the season in the One Day Cup bowling spin because Lauren Winfield Hill was wicket keeping. I genuinely did a double take of all double takes when I saw the scorecard and I saw she'd bowled. And not only had she bowled well. And then Lauren Winfield Hill goes off to Essex in Tier 1 Maddie Ward gets the captaincy, which is massive for such a young player. She's now behind the stumps and she's taking catches and stumpings and scoring runs. She can literally do it all.
Do you know what I'd love to see with Lauren Winfield-Hill coming back to Yorkshire for these T20 Blasts? Where's her off spin? Why is she not bowling off spin? Why Maddie Ward to keep it? That'd be brilliant to see. But I just think Maddie Ward is an exceptional talent. I think we saw it in the Under-19s World Cup 2-3 years ago. She was really only in that Under-19 side as a wicketkeeper. She was not in that side as a batter. And then all of a sudden, she's probably seen the criticism or taken the constructive criticism on, and her batting has just come on leaps and bounds, and her glove work for me is exceptional, and that's coming from a wicketkeeper myself, and me being a wicketkeeper, I certainly look out at what are the other keepers going on in tier 1, tier 2 and tier 3, and for me right now she is a standout.
I mean, we had Jonny Bairstow bowling in the county championship with the Kookaburra. We could have Lauren, we need you to be working in the nets. Don't care about your batting. Don't care about your keeping. Get on the spin. Let's have a trio of Yorkshire captains bowling spin and also wicket keeping this season, because I feel like that's got to be a first if it happened.
Do you know what? The saying is true that all keepers can bowl anything. And Maddie Ward, you are proving my point, and Jonny Bairstow, so keep going.
She also is definitely someone who it's probably a little bit early. But when we have this debate about wicketkeepers in England and Amy Jones, we love her, but she's not immortal. She'll have to retire one day. Maddie Ward is probably someone who should be getting a look in.
Yeah, definitely. And I think Rhiannon Southby is causing a big conversation starter at the moment. Again, we've just seen her batting come on leaps and bounds. Obviously, I've sort of played alongside her over the years. Yes, she's a few years younger than me, but she was always in that team as a wicketkeeper batting at 9, 10, 11. Now we're seeing over the last 2 years, she's your wicketkeeper on the team sheet week in, week out. But she's also batting in the top 5, and her batting has just come on leaps and bounds. So, yeah, I think we can see, we are going to see some healthy competition between Maddie Ward and Rhiannon Southby in the next 5 years.
Another name I'd throw into the rink, who hasn't really been discussed yet, but I've seen her play a lot this season. Nat Rafe at Warwickshire. She's taken over the gloves from Abby Freeborn in the T20 Blast, which is a big achievement, because Freeborn has been the keeper in that team for a very long time. And she's an explosive batter at the top of the order as well.
Do you know what? I completely agree. And I think Maddie Ward and Nat Rafe literally are the pinnacle of what keeper batters do. They sweep, they ramp, they reverse sweep, they use their feet. Them two play 360 around the ground. And I think, yeah, I completely agree. I think Nat Rafe is certainly one in there as well. And I think years ago she potentially was on like the England development programs and stuff like that. So, yeah, some 3 very talented wicketkeeper batters who are proving a point and also changing the stigma of a wicketkeeper can't bat. So I absolutely love to see it, and I can't wait to see in the next five or so years who that next England wicketkeeper is going to be.
Thank you so much for joining us this week on 2 Tiers Deep. If you'd like to get in touch, you can contact us on rosatalksball@gmail.com.